Hello, and welcome to the Rag Company podcast. My name is Levi Gates. To my left, Dane Hennen. To my other left, Morgan McMurry.
Hey guys, what's up?
And across from me, Anthony Fisher.
Hey.
Well, welcome guys. It's such a great time to be here.
Yeah, no,
awesome.
this is really nice. There's nothing unusual about this beginning at all.
Nope,
No.
Not at all. If you could
Just a
pass me some
regular
of that
day?
hand
Just a regular
sanitizer, I'm going to wipe down my area.
I
about
feel a
being
little
in
concerned because you seem to have much more protective equipment on than the rest of us.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going around, and I just want to make sure that, I've got a family to worry about.
Okay.
sorry,
I
that
see.
was a
We're
little
less
hot.
important.
Yeah.
I get
Well,
it.
when you're
I
locked
see.
in a room with 4 other people for about an hour, we're going to be exchanging germs.
Breathing the same uncirculated air. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. I
great.
apologize for that. This is my respirator that I'm talking through, and it's got a little hot mic on it.
That is
So-
pretty cool, though.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going to take this off.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, you went. That's a squeaky little.
That is a lot of feedback here on this
Yeah.
microphone.
Oh,
well, guys, welcome to the main show podcast where we talk about mostly our lives, our weekends, and a little bit about detailing every now and then. So to get
That's
things
better.
started, turn on that fan just turned on, so
Oh,
it feels
yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
better
now
in
it's-
here.
Yeah,
We
we'll circulate those germs out of the way.
got some
Yay.
air moving.
So, I just wanted to say, I last night am proud to be the owner of a bidet.
Wow. Okay.
I installed it.
Dane.
And this is why I don't follow Anthony's
Dane,
advice.
why
on
don't you
these
Dane,
things.
shake that up?
Dane, you don't open it up after you shake it in 20 seconds. You have to wait a few
I
minutes.
gotta let that stuff settle. It's like a beer.
I watch him
Dane.
shaking. I'm like, why would you shake that? It's already carbonated. And he goes, well, there's bacteria in the bottom,
Yeah, you
right? I'm
gotta
like,
stir it
okay,
up.
well,
So
Stir it up. Anyway,
sure.
we're drinking kombuchas here on the podcast. If you aren't watching it on the
Anthony
YouTubes.
and Dane are fans of the booch.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I've
never shaken it up.
I don't
and then
trust
opened
kombucha.
it.
Morgan, do you trust kombucha?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not even 1%.
So, these guys love it. They enjoy the flavor of it. The
Well,
taste of
one
it.
day, me and Anthony watched how kombucha was made, and pretty much to
I've
sum
seen
it
that
You
up,
were
video
grossed
too.
out.
it's,
Anthony
it's
was
pretty much throwing like
It's
tea
gross.
and fruit into a jar and just leaving
Nope,
it for
it's
an
actually
elongated period of time
It's
to
actually
let
just
it
sugar and
create
tea.
its own bacteria and
Well, it's got
nasty
alcohol in it.
stuff.
So one of my favorite people, Jordan
not good.
Schlansky, is also probably a fan of kombucha, right?
Yeah.
From Conan.
Yeah, you
and
love Jordan.
So I love
Yeah.
Jordan. His sense of humor, his deadpan sense of humor is quite
It's amazing.
hilarious.
Honestly, it's
So
some of the finest ever. made.
basically, all it is for kombucha is just it's a symbiotic culture of yeast and bacteria, which is basically just tea. You can use any sort. You can use green or black, with a copious amount of sugar left to ferment with a piece of cheesecloth on the top, inside of a mason jar or something larger.
Smells like pure vinegar.
And so eventually it will produce a vinegary smell.
So
But
if you like
what-
drinking vinegar,
what
I like
happens-
drinking cleaning products.
see, because here's my problem is like I used to drink apple cider vinegar with lemon and cayenne pepper every morning.
I actually. That's like a
Okay.
cleanse
Mhm.
almost.
And it reminds me of that. And that's why I hate it, is because whenever I smell the apple cider vinegar, I like have flashbacks and I'm like, you know.
You ever have like apple cider vinegar and just like cucumber slices as a snack? That's kind of nice. Nobody else? Okay.
Rice vinegar and garlic salt
Ah.
with cucumbers is actually delicious.
Oh, very
But I
nice.
also just prefer cucumbers plain.
Yeah, no, they're
Simple.
awesome.
Keep
Yeah.
it simple.
So, anyway, getting back to what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, why would you want to
back
do
to
that?
the bidet.
I
Now
was
that we've
really
put all this
hoping we
bacteria
wouldn't
in
go
our
back
stomach, I just wanted to make a note that around the country, they are out of toilet paper and water.
So I'm confused on that, right? Because I'm seeing all the posts about people
Yeah.
fighting about toilet paper.
Right.
I was at Winco, I think 2 days in a row, and there was plenty of amounts of toilet paper at Winco.
Same, yeah.
So I was very confused to see everyone freaking out.
Yeah.
But because what I heard was that Costco was out because they had to shut down that entire highway because all
Yeah.
those trucks were crashed.
Okay.
So I thought that they confirmed that had nothing to do with the coronavirus and people
Right.
like.
Yeah.
We call it COVID-19 now.
But then
just so
I
you're
think
aware.
when people started hearing that it was out, they were like, "Oh, it's out because of coronavirus," and then they went and bought it everywhere.
They all went and bought it everywhere
We're so
else. So,
demonetized now.
Fred Meyer's up by my house,
Yeah.
completely out. The Kroger.
Really?
Yeah, out of toilet paper. They have small 4-packs
Yeah.
that they have raised the price of. You can't get into a 4-pack for under $8.
Oh,
So
the good
here's-
stuff,
So
you
here's
know.
here's
I
my
had a Costco run with no problems this week.
so here's the deal.
Did you buy toilet paper?
You
while
went
you were there?
you actually went to Costco?
Yeah, and it was fine.
Did you go to the toilet paper section and verify? As our
no,
man on the
'cause
street?
I was getting that 2 weeks ago. We didn't need any because it was Costco. When you buy stuff there, you have
Right.
a lot of it.
Dane is a Costco
two
member
people,
now.
For 2 people, Costco toilet paper lasts 6 months. I've documented
it does.
and verified
It
this.
does absolutely.
Huh.
So basically,
All you need is 1 pack. I
what
mean,
I-
they're talking about a 2-week shutdown
Big as this table.
or
Well,
quarantine.
here's the deal. I mean, you
How
go to
much poop
you go
are
to
you gonna have?
you go to Winco,
Man, this
right?
is a-
you go to
okay.
Winco. I literally water was still fully stocked.
Yeah.
Toilet paper was fully stocked. The thing is, I think a lot of the marketing was built around the whole Costco Kroger thing because of that's where you buy bulk amounts. And what
Maybe, yeah.
boggles my mind is why is that people's first instinct, right? They're so
We're gonna get so
they
plan it out. Possible 2-week quarantine in your house
yeah.
is what that was the buzzword, right? Possible you're gonna be stuck in your house for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, water's still gonna work.
Yeah.
Power's still gonna be available.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we're not gonna lose any of that.
Correct.
Unless all
yeah.
the guys at the power company suddenly get sick at the
Right,
same
but the
time.
power's still going to be on. Like, it's,
Yeah.
like you usually have a natural disaster where you lose electricity and water is because it's contaminated or it's been
Yeah, this is
knocked
just
out.
working itself up to a pandemic.
This is literally just a bunch of people staying in their house for 2 weeks to prevent being.
Sounds like a nice vacation.
listen,
You know what I'm
Right?
saying?
Yeah.
Listen to this logic, though. It doesn't make any sense. So here it is. You're going to be quarantined or you need to go grab a bunch of toilet paper and water, whatever it is. So your first thought is to go to Costco because they sell bulk amounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can buy bulk amounts of toilet paper anywhere you freaking want to, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
It
it's not $12.
It just imagine
Yeah.
that's the thing. So people will go out of their way, spend hours of their day standing and waiting in line
$5
to save $12 or to save
Or,
$10.
you could go
right?
to Amazon.com.
That's
pick
literally
up,
what I'm going
pick
to
up,
look and see
look
how
up
much.
the look up the
Oh, man.
Lux bidet.
Or you could literally
That's what I have. It's an attachment. Put it right on your toilet.
You can go to your local freaking gas station and get a 4-pack of toilet paper there for $4, right?
Mhm.
Yes, is not ideal, right?
You can get 80 rolls of Scott Essential Professional 100%.
This is not how I
what we
saw
have
this
here.
podcast going at all.
for 80 rolls.
Okay, I'm just
That's a lot of
saying.
toilet
Would
paper.
anyone like to go in and split that?
it
That's
literally
expensive. That's $2 a
doesn't
roll.
make sense. But whatever. So going back to what I'm saying, it doesn't make any sense and what people's logic of the whole Costco thing is going
Or 50
and
cents
waiting
a
in
roll,
line
that's
and doing
backwards.
all this.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense there.
Well,
right?
that once again, like as detailers, you run into time is money. So a lot of these people, a lot of people in general, don't see their time as money. They
Right.
just see it as I'll just
Yeah.
hang out, and
Well-
they're like, I'm getting a deal, but then they don't realize
So-
the 5 or 6 hours that they spend waiting around for something to happen
Yeah.
is that takes
Well,
away
it's
whatever
not like
deal
it's-
you would have had.
It's not like it's Black Friday and they're getting a freaking TV or they're getting something they really want that's something that's super cool.
Right.
They're getting crap paper is what they're getting.
Well, hand
And-
sanitizer is just alcohol
Yeah.
in
yeah.
gel.
well,
Yeah.
and not only does
So-
it kill bad bacteria, it kills good bacteria too.
Unfortunately,
yeah. So we've got these Clorox wipes all around the office.
I thought they decided that hand sanitizer didn't work.
So here's the deal.
Because it drops your good.
So it's a conditional.
So here's
thing.
what it is. So hand sanitizer, when you wipe it, clean your hands. You are cleaning and removing bacteria.
Right.
However, you're not removing it. You're just
It's
killing
just
it. It's
chilling.
still there. It's still on your
Yeah.
skin. So what you need to do is always wipe with a towel. Wipe your hands clean. Now, here's where the rag company comes in. We've got 150 different types of microfiber.
We do.
But among those-
Any
80-20,
specific ones?
hold on, any 80-20 microfiber on its
Right.
own, any of our towels on their own
Yeah.
will remove 99.9% of all bacteria, and we have
Does
that
not kill,
lab
removes.
verified
Yeah.
that it removes it from the surface.
Actual scientific
Yep.
studies conducted using our towels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bill
And
Nye science
so
proof.
that's better than nothing, right? Grab
Oh,
a
yeah.
towel, grab a nice car wash towel,
Sure.
wipe your hands off, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Now, you want to take it to the next level, you supercharge it with our silver infused
yes.
towels.
See,
We've got silver
that's the
infused
difference.
towels for the home, for the office, take them to work with you. We took them when we went to travel.
We
when
did.
we were,
And we wiped
had,
down the airport tables before
we
we
had
ate.
hand sanitizer. We had wipes. We had silver infused towels with us.
Yeah.
We were protected for that trip.
Because the silver infused kills the bacteria as opposed to simply removing it, because when the towel removes it, it's still in the towel.
Yeah, and
it's not dead. It's still in the towel.
Yeah, and we have, again, independent lab results on the website on that listing.
Yeah.
So you guys can see those
You
as
can
well.
verify this stuff, folks. Yeah.
So I'm not all that worried about the, COVID-19 coronavirus, whatever it is. I'm not worried about it because I have a bidet.
If you have a
and I have
compromised immune
silver-infused-
system,
I have
if
silver
you're-
infused towels at my house, so I'm good to go. But the point is, figure out what your time is worth, like you're saying, Dane.
Yeah.
Do you need to drive that far to get that, to hunt out that?
No.
You're spending 2 weeks in your house. I would focus on getting, if you have to do this, if it gets to that point, you have food.
Yep.
I think having food rather than water and toilet paper is more important.
Having
So
water
here's a question.
filters
Here's a
is
question.
great.
I know Anthony's going to need snacks.
So here's a question, right? Right now, right? Let's just say right this instant, you have to go home and you have to live off of what you currently have in your house for
2
weeks. Do you have enough food and do you have enough supplies to make it?
I have enough toilet paper and water, but I don't have enough food. I have
Okay.
a lot of cereal and
Now-
pancake mix.
But could you make something? Right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't, you don't
My
have,
kids
you,
could eat
you don't
pancakes
have,
every day
You don't
for the
have
next 2 weeks.
convenient food, right?
And
but
eggs.
you probably do have enough food
I've
to
got-
get you to 2
I've
weeks.
got chicken. I've got an extra freezer. I've
Okay.
got lots of frozen foods.
Dane, do you have enough food to
Yeah.
get you 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Today,
no, could do
if
it.
you couldn't go to
I
the
could.
store.
Yeah. No, I could. You'd ration out a little bit, but you could.
Morgan, you? So here's the deal. I think most people have probably more food than they
You're
realize,
gonna
right?
be eating
you have,
pancake or
you probably
pumpkin pie
have
filling and stuff
cans
like that.
of
but
olives, right? There's people that have the cans of corn and all sorts of
Green
different things,
beans
right?
that have
Yeah.
been
If
in
you-
there for
no,
a year.
seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. If you were to actually lay it out mathematically, right, and set yourself to a 2,000 calorie intake a day,
just think
right?
of all the weight everyone would lose.
And-
We'd all look great when we got done.
take exactly
Yeah.
what you have and make that work and calculate that, dude, you would be full. You would be feeling good, and you would definitely make
Well,
it, right?
if you're
I
hanging
have
out
a
in your house all
freaking
day.
6-pound bag of jasmine rice, right? Do you
delightful.
know how
Oh, that
You
long
goes.
love rice.
That goes
That-
forever.
I could literally eat that for the next month and I'll be fine. But I think most people don't realize what they currently have, so they go and buy all this extra crap.
Right, they buy more perishable
I'm sitting
stuff.
here, I'm like, okay, so all you people are buying stuff that you're probably not going to eat because you're saving it for a time of just, despair or whatever it is. So now that food's going to waste. What's all the water doing that people bought? All those bottles, hundreds and hundreds of bottles of water that are sitting in their garage, are they going to eventually pick through those for the next 2-3 years? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea.
No, a year ago at my house, I was the worst. I had water bottles left and right all over the place and stuff. Then Liz was like,
he had a water bottle room.
could you please just get a water bottle that you keep around and just
Yeah.
have that be the water bottle instead of these millions of plastic bottles? And I knew how annoying it was to go and fill up the recycling container with all of them. I'm like, okay, that's something I'm really going to put my mind to. I'm not going to get any more water bottles because Winco has those big,
Yeah.
crates. So I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do this. It's been 8 months since I started doing that, something like that. It's amazing because at home I just set up a pitcher with a water filter and I change the filter every couple months and it's great.
So you have
and
a Brita.
yeah, and I just don't do the bottles anymore, and I'm so happy because I don't have a bunch of just, crap plastic bottles piling up in my house. This is all I need, and it actually works out great. And I have a hard time doing this kind of thing. I have a hard time sticking to a diet. I have a hard time doing these kinds of things. I really put my mind to it, and it actually works.
Wow.
And it's really,
Great
it's an
job.
accomplishment
Great job, Jane.
for
Very
me
proud of
in
you.
my mental state of just
Yeah,
have
all
the
your
bottle.
focus-
Don't
yeah.
go grab a plastic. Just have
Well,
this
if
bottle.
I had all the money in the world, I would get one of those things that's downstairs, the little water dispensers.
Our friends
Oh,
at New
yeah.
Air make those.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
for your
I
own
still
home.
don't have all
For
the
your
money in
own
the world,
home.
so that's unfortunate.
So,
So you know what? I think this is also a good time for all the detailers listening to the podcast, right?
Yes.
If you have a wife or a significant other, and you are worried about your water, you are worried about the the state that your water could be in, maybe now would be a good time to pitch them the whole CR spotless system.
Oh, hey, there you go. A little DI water in the house.
Say, honey, we need some deionized water because, there's nothing in it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about this CR spotless system? It's only, $400, $500.
Maybe you get your tax return.
And then what will happen is
make an investment in the family.
You'll buy it, and then she'll come home, and she's like, "What are you doing washing the car with the deionizer system?"
Don't worry about it. No water
spots.
spots.
Just making sure that it's working right now before obviously the end of the world. Right?
How much do those canisters cost? You don't want to know.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I bought extras.
No.
Yeah.
But,
so getting into our weekends, let's go ahead and jump in.
Well, we had a training on Saturday, so we kind of had short weekends.
Yeah.
So we had Ivan LaCroix here for the week. He was hanging out. He just left this morning, headed on his way down to Utah to see Patty and Nick McGurk. He's rolling down there to see them. And then, but we had Ivan here. We held a training. And on Saturday, good turnout, about 8 people. We polished the hood of your truck and your roof, parts of your roof.
Well, I volunteered
Dane,
the truck.
You manhandled that rotary. You got to town on it.
Yeah, I threw down with the Udo Zen tool. But I did want to say, they were working on the practice hoods, and I thought, I have a full vehicle over here, and yes, it's beneficial to me that they polish a little bit of it. But at the same time, I'm like, look at this hood. They're going to be really satisfied if something comes out of this.
Great 50-50 shots.
And sure enough, you watch that live, it was just...
Yeah, it was
amazing.
pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I think that the training, so pretty much like the takeaway from the training, so people that weren't able to make it or didn't see the Instagram post, this detailing was all about efficiency and all about kind of how to elevate your business and things like that. And also just kind of learn some of the basics of detailing and some of the new tips and tricks that Ivan's picked up over the years. So he did obviously training on the Udos and exterior polishing and kind of the rights and wrongs of polishing, which is interesting because, while some people are focused on the result, right, Ivan's more focused on the process, right? And, how's your posture, right? How are you holding the machine, right? Are you putting in more work than what's necessary?
The shoulder's looking a little high.
Things like that he kind of points out rather than let's show you how to get the best correction possible. No, that wasn't the goal. The goal is to literally how to do the job in the most efficient way without killing yourself, right?
Without
because
breaking down your body in short order.
You're doing this, obviously as a full-time gig or you're wanting to get into it. And then in terms of interior stuff, he had a lot of really great points with interiors, right? His biggest thing is obviously never overly saturating an interior. So he showed tips and tricks to basically clean an interior without completely wetting the thing, right? And getting it to where it is more than acceptable to any everyday customer. So I think that the training, the biggest takeaway is probably efficiency stuff. Some tips and tricks for tools that you may already have in your arsenal that you didn't realize they did other things, which was super cool. Like, for example, taking a rotary polisher with a wool pad to your interior cloth seats.
The people on the live commenting were watching that, just their minds were blown. They're going, wait a second, you can do that? I thought the polishers are just for paint. Well, if you're feeling creative, you get in there, they can do work. He was very specific, though, about it's got to be a wool pad. Yeah. And, on a rotary specifically, it works better on these kinds of seats. Whereas he cleaned up that liquid iron stain that was in my brother's car where he has a friend who's a long-distance runner, and she, drinks liquid iron. She spilled a bottle on the seat, on the leather of the back of this Lexus RX, and it got in the carpet, and it was all around. And he tried everything he could with our towels, different products, trying to clean it up, and it just didn't work. But then Ivan goes in there. I think he used a DA. He didn't use a rotary in that because he used a DA with a microfiber pad. Yeah. And he sprayed some. What did he spray on the pad?
Interior cleaner.
Yeah, it wasn't even anything crazy. It was interior cleaner. And he just got on there, and those stains and everything disappeared real quick. And it had been in there for months.
Yeah.
And months and months.
And that was really cool. So Ivan's chemicals of choice in this training were actually all WOA's chemicals.
Yeah, and he used some old Optimum stuff that we still carry and have available. Yeah.
So he it was pretty cool to kind of see him, take on the line, and it did pretty much did effortlessly. Can't say my words, but so for example, he wanted a foaming interior cleaner, right? He said, I want to foam this on, so it's going to be a pretty dry foam. I mixed up interior cleaner from Wowo's. He foamed it on. Worked beautifully. We had the leather cleaner, leather conditioner in there. And then I think what was really cool was after polishing out portions of Dane's truck there, people were kind of, engaged and they're getting their hands on the Udos and polishing things. That's when I walked over and I grabbed some of the wax and I put a little bit of Mala wax on one area and put a little Contact 121 on some other area. And then it was shortly after that I topped it with Quick Detailer. People were literally losing their minds feeling this paint.
Oh, they were
literally like, you'd go up and fill this fender and it was like, is that really that slick?
You watched me do it.
It's like, and it was funny because I applied the wax, right? And I said, give it a minute and then feel it. And they felt it. They're like, oh, it's pretty good, right? After a few minutes went by, hit it with a little bit of QD, wiped it. They felt it. Oh, yeah, it's definitely a little slicker. And I said, give it 5 or 10 minutes and come back, right? You go and feel it 5 or 10 minutes later. It is literally, dude, it is so silky smooth. It's kind of hard to explain how smooth that really is, especially after doing a polish
It was really
session.
great to see that little truck that hadn't been touched.
No.
We didn't even polish that. We just waxed
the
it.
sides were like okay shiny, so we
did wash and clay it.
Yeah, but they have more clarity than the hood or any. All you could tell, like whoever owned it previously did not use any kind of like paint protection on the top of the.
They used spray paint as
hood.
protection.
Well, Ivan said he noticed that there appeared to be a wipe on clear on the hood, and he thought that's what we were removing ultimately because that had just chalked
it oxidized.
out.
But I think that in terms of the takeaway from the Udos, though, because this is the production model of the Udos that people were playing
serial
with.
number 7.
And
it's a good run of machine.
I was really kind of curious on feedback, right? Because I'm always trying to survey people and see what people think of things, and I think that the Udos surpassed expectations in terms of the versatility that people were able to see right in front of them, right? Because everybody says, "Oh, $700 polisher."
Oh yeah,
I can buy this polisher and this polisher for that much, right?
You're like, but this polisher makes up for 5 polishers.
What they're not seeing is how versatile the throw mechanism is of the polisher without even changing the pad or the compound and getting a completely different result in literally seconds. And
you could see it on that hood to look totally different depending on the setting.
And it was funny because on the live video I was watching really closely. I was kind of in there while Dane was doing the live. I was looking through the comments, and a couple people are like, "Oh man,
they got snarky.
This noise on this machine, right?
Look how much it vibrates."
And I'm like, yeah, it might be loud to you watching through this video, but honestly, this is no louder than my Porter cable, right?
Yeah.
And
it's
no louder than any of the other machines out there, right? I think people are trying to nitpick because they have these they
want to justify in their head. They're like, I don't need this.
Well, they have these
I'm not spending that money.
Pre-opinions, or they've already.
It's the anti-hype.
They're going into it with already having a negative opinion about it.
And what's funny is like a lot of people don't realize is that.
And no, you
when
don't
they developed
need
when Lake Country Power
anything,
Tools worked on this and developed this, they patented it in Germany and Italy first.
Yeah.
They filed patents for this technology, and they were able to receive it because the other companies hadn't even touched. They hadn't even gotten there yet. Yeah. They could have easily, Lake Country could have applied for the patent over there, and it could have been like, nope, sorry, Rupes already has this technology, or Lake Country, or whoever, or Flex, or whoever has this technology.
I mean, that's how you test to see.
But the fact that nobody had it was a shock.
It's not something like any of the other companies. They probably like thought of the idea of something like that before and maybe took like a little stab at it, but the actual engineering required and the very specific way in which the adjustment between the settings works. You remember when we had that prototype and the way the mechanism worked?
It was much more difficult to set.
It was difficult to set, but looking at the way the mechanism behaved, it's like, well, no wonder. This is like a fine watch, craftsmanship going on inside this thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just any old, but throw a bunch of gears and cogs together and it does the trick. No, this is a very specific, measured out system. And of course, the others, they do great work on what they do, but this is just something totally different.
You look at the engineering in that machine, and to get the weight, to get the vibration down, to get the noise, to get
than say like a DA, like a Mark III,
but it's half a pound heavier,
barely heavier. That's the big thing. That's a surprising
8
thing.
ounces.
For what it can do,
heavier.
You would think, oh, this thing's going to be built like a tank. Well, it's built tough. You can feel like, oh, that's nice metal, all this stuff. It's very durable feeling, but it doesn't feel colossally heavy compared to anything else.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between, like a large coupe and a sedan. It's close. It's negligible, the difference, once you actually start, putting it through the corners.
Yeah. Well, and I think that in terms of just the build quality, it's there. It feels extremely sturdy. And in terms of the vibration, one thing I want to point out is that when Ivan was polishing, he is polishing with literally no pressure on the head of the unit, right?
Yeah, that's when that guy was like, oh, look, his arms are shaking. And it's just like, okay.
Because he's not applying any pressure, right? You hand a polisher to any other person out there, they're going to apply 5 to 9 pounds of pressure without even realizing it for the most part.
And we had a 8 or 9 year old.
Oh yeah, polishing with it. Yeah, with it.
He was
with
working
it,
on it, and he was doing just fine.
Yeah,
he did a great job on my roof.
So I think that machine will absolutely take off. I think people will have to.
I think it's a great value.
The early adopters are going to be the ones who really pave the way for like everything you can do with that machine. Yeah. I mean, obviously the different settings, but they're going to come up with some creative solutions. You can already tell.
It's how do I say this, right? We love Rupas and we love Flex, right? We love those machines. We use them. We literally used them last week, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We use them all the time. But I think that, the Udos will kind of set you up for a first-timer starting a business that needs multiple machines, right? Minus maybe a 3-inch, right? And minus maybe an hybrid or something very small.
It'll actually save you money.
It'll give you most of everything that you need. And in terms of that machine sitting on a shelf, right? I could see that being a machine that people will reach to, either between that or probably like a Mark II or a Mark III 15, right?
Because you don't need to go hunting.
I see people just either reaching
tool.
for one or the other, and I think that says a lot about that machine.
Now, granted, there are going to be the people who say, well, of course I'd rather have more tools as opposed to one that does all these things, because if I have one and something goes wrong or it breaks or whatever, then I'm out the whole thing, whereas if I have multiple machines, then, I'll just switch to the other thing. Yes, that's true, but if you're a single operator, this frees you up to do a whole lot more with one machine. I think they even said that the support network is built in. Yep. They have these things already ready to go. Yeah. So this isn't going to be an issue for
people. Are already trained on how to repair and how to put them back together and all that stuff.
But it's all about the way you're going to end up using that tool and what kind of ecosystem you've set up for the way you do your work. So I think for a lot of people, one machine that can do all that will make a huge difference.
Yeah. So that was what we did on Saturday. Morgan, what'd you do this weekend? Because you didn't attend the training.
I didn't. No. Right. I did not. I didn't know, first off, that we were either supposed to or were able to even come until the day before. And I was like, well, that's fine.
As a TRC employee, you're always welcome.
Yeah, any of these
John
events,
Green, chief of the rag company, actually sat in and took the training.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
I like
what did I do on Saturday? I woke up, right, did regular things like laundry, unload the dishwasher, make a nice breakfast. And then my mom wanted to go shopping, so she's going to a wedding next month, and so she needed to find some new spring summer sandals, and then she just wanted to start looking for what dress she was going to wear because it's in Arizona, so it's going to be super warm. So her and I went out and we just shopped around a little bit, just girls being girls. And then we got some Thai food for lunch, a quick snack. And then we met up with my dad, had some coffee, and then I went back to their house, took the dog on a walk with my dad, and just, spent good old time with your family, because you guys always say, you don't go back to your parents' house enough. So here I was, pretty much spending the whole day Saturday with them. So
great job.
That was really fun. And then Sunday, I woke up and I was going to do the oil change on my car, but then I got scared because I was jacking it up and I didn't trust it. So instead, I just switched out in the oil. When I ordered the stuff for the oil change, I also ordered the side marker lights on my fenders because mine were really gross. And so I switched those out at least, and at least felt a little bit accomplished. But yeah, I was too scared. I saw it sitting up there, and I was like, I don't like that.
You have clears or
you have jack stands too?
So she only has one jack stand. But she's got 2 jacks, right? But the 2 jacks that she has,
Wait, that's backwards.
I know, right? So
should have 2 jack stands.
I don't know where the other
jack.
one went.
Brandon probably took it somewhere.
There was
Probably gave it to a friend.
Probably.
I mean, I've got 4 right here down in the warehouse that are actually mine, but
Dude,
we
you
use
can
them
take
for
them
stuff.
home.
I'll take them.
I'll check them out.
invest in just a good jack with some nice little stands. You know, get those little booties on the stands too.
Put the rubber boot on them, seriously.
But dude, I mean, once you have a good jack, like, I mean,
I've got some 4-ton jack stands, 6-ton jack stands, Morgan.
Harbor Freighters, man, they're great.
They're big. They're for trucks. So you'd have to
the
lift
Harbor
your,
Freight ones aren't bad.
You'd have to lift your BMW up pretty high to get these
Yeah,
under.
because I don't think
So.
I don't really know, like, obviously there's different jacks with different like ratings and stuff for how high they can put your car up, but I don't think mine are really supposed to go
I don't think you could get your car
that
under.
high. So
you don't want to go to a wobbly height.
That's the problem too, is right, because like since my car's lower, I can't fit a normal jack under there. So most of the ones that would raise your car up pretty high to be able to fit, an entire person under there, like I can't use that because I can't fit the jack under there anyways. Even if I
aired your bags up, how high does your car go?
Not high enough to fit a normal jack.
So you need to go get one
I got a low pro jack.
It's a Harbor Freight. It's
Low
a
Pro.
gray 3-ton Harbor Freight low pro. It is sturdy as all heck.
Yep. 310s is...
Yeah, it's the one I had
it's
that
the
got
same-
stolen in Vegas.
Yeah. Or you could try and find one in Vegas at a pawn shop.
No.
Yeah, no, they're great jacks, and so I've never seen it let out air or
I
anything
have
like
an
that.
old Harbor Freight that's about 10 years old. It's probably 15 years old. And it's still plumbing along, just working just fine.
Yeah,
It's faded.
Yeah.
It's orange and white. But
I suspect
Wait,
when we
orange
have,
and white, white handle, but orange and it has yellow letters on the tag. Yeah, I had one of those too.
yeah.
the scissor
an old
lift in the
school
new
one.
studio is going to be a hot commodity. I can
Oh,
tell.
Yeah. So
We'll definitely need to have a sign-up sheet for that, because otherwise I think there will be hands thrown.
Yeah.
There will also most likely be a Montero magically appearing on
Oh,
that
God.
Monday, and
Somehow
we're
it'll
like,
show up, and
and
we're
we're
like, we
like,
thought you got rid of that.
"Why is
I
that
did
in here,
too.
Dane?" And Dane's like,
It
"What?"
followed me
They're like, they
home.
offered it back to me at a great deal, only
Guys, it's been here this whole
$1,700,
time.
and we're like, what are you?
Yeah, ever since you had that really nice white Montero pop up in that junkyard,
Dane just
I
goes
can go
over
get
there
all the
and-
parts. I go over and look, it's gone.
Yeah.
yeah. Very good, Dane. What did you do this weekend?
Man, honestly, it was mostly just the training stuff we did, and then made a Costco run, watched some shows, check some stuff out. Nothing big,
Relaxed.
nothing too bad. Took the dog out on a walk.
Kick the feet up a little bit.
Simple stuff, but yeah, nothing too crazy.
Wow, I like that. Yeah.
Anthony, you had an ordeal. You had an ordeal this weekend.
Yeah,
You did a little
I had
bit.
kind of an ordeal. So this last week, right, I got a new exhaust for my Triumph, right? It's a low boy exhaust. Or
It
not.
looks
It's a GP slip on. It's made by Competition Works. I had 2 high pipes, right? They were carbon high pipes, and they looked really, really cool. The problem is that Katie never wanted to ride on the back of the motorcycle because
of
the
burner
pipes
lights.
get too hot, right? And the rear pegs are right next to the pipes.
So you bought this for her.
Correct, absolutely.
This was a gift.
Very
This
caring.
was a gift for her on her
That
birthday.
had to be it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
she's a big motorcycle gal. Like she
Yeah.
takes the bike out more than Anthony does.
Yeah.
She
So-
she gets it up on that rear
Yeah.
wheel and she'll
Mhm.
ride out dank wheelies for
Oh, yeah.
miles.
Yeah. So
It's amazing.
easy to be able to purchase something like that and say,
Obviously
happy birthday, love you.
justify that.
for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I took off the carbon high pipes. I'm still keeping them, but I switched this low boy. I did coat it in G-Technic C5
Excellent.
because I did want to protect it because it's a beautiful powder coated kind of like a satin black matte finish, and so coated that in C5. Threw that thing on there. Thing sounds freaking wicked. It's got more when you on the D cell. It's got some really good pops and a really good kind of thunderous grumble when you let go. And
Because it's much shorter now, so
it's much shorter. Yeah, and
it's a lot more.
because what I did, and of course every person has to do this before they get a new exhaust on, is
Rev it up.
is just rev it up without a muffler on it. Right?
Yeah, you're like straight pipe,
Dude,
Yeah,
I
whatever.
started
Well,
that thing up.
open header.
and
Yeah,
it
open
was-
header, no, nothing.
Dude, it was deafening. I'm talking like I couldn't even believe how loud it
Oh,
was.
people get excited about that, but I
Oh.
rarely have ever heard anything that was, that open header kind of sound that sounded good. It's just loud. It's just a generic kind of sound
Well,
that's
so
very loud.
It's not open header, so I have the header, but you have to think, but the header's not even a foot down, and then it curves, and then you're at the pipe,
was a
basically.
collector.
So
Yeah.
it was just right there, and it was just deafening. So anyway, new exhaust went on, but then it kind of got me into the mood of getting things. I got to get the rest of the maintenance done on the bikes. So after we left for the training, I had gone and picked up some engine ice, which is a coolant for motorcycles.
You said it was very tough to get.
It's not tough to get. It's just expensive. It's just it's like $30 for a half gallon, and it's basically supposed to make your vehicle, whatever you put it in, run 20 degrees cooler, and it is very good stuff. And so it's safe for track use and whatever else. If Katie decides to go take it on the racetrack, it's obviously good to go in case of a spillage. But so here's the deal: the cool part about having 4 vehicles, right, is that you have 4 vehicles, right? I think everybody can agree that, I got like 4 vehicles. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, honestly, you have 3 vehicles and a couple of motorcycles. A motorcycle and a scooter.
Yes, correct. Yes, that's 5 total. But anyway, so let's take the scooter and the motorcycle for example. The cool part about having them is that you have them. The downside of all that stuff is you have to maintain all these vehicles.
Right, that's why Dane cycles through and drives all his vehicles every weekend.
Yes, he does. Yep, including the C-Max.
Yeah, he gets a little seat time.
It's true. Although that's mostly battery.
you have to kind of keep up on the maintenance. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that I hadn't changed the coolant on the Triumph since I've got it, right? Mm-hmm. So I've had that bike for over 4 years, right? And the previous owner changed it right before I bought it. He did all the maintenance on everything. So I knew the coolant was relatively new, but 4.5 years old on a motorcycle that goes through really high heat cycles and everything.
And you actually ride it.
And I put quite a few thousand miles on that thing. So basically I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I got to change that out. How bad is it going to be? And of course you pop it open, you look at, okay, not super bad. I had to take some fairings off and things like that. Drain the system, and then I had to run distilled water and distilled vinegar through it, right? Now, the cool part about doing this is obviously you're going to have a clear system. The downside is that, do you know how long it takes for a motorcycle to cool down?
I assume it happens within an hour or 2, right?
Yeah, do you know how long? Okay. It can take upwards of 2 freaking hours, right, for a motorcycle to completely cool down and for the radiator to completely depressurize, right? I did not know that, right? So I didn't pull the mistake that everybody else pulls with a radiator cap. But let's say that after about an hour, I think it was like an hour and 15, I was like, this should probably be fine. I go to start taking the thing off, and I start hearing the hissing and then the grumbling. I'm like, oh, God, I crank it back on. Well, because of the distilled water and distilled vinegar mix, right, it gets all over my concrete, spills all over, right? You know what vinegar does on concrete?
Yeah, it's an acid.
Yeah, it stains it immediately, right? So that was cool. And so I had to run it through one cycle, run it through another cycle of just pure distilled water. At this point, it's 9 o'clock at night on that Saturday night.
And you had already rented that concrete grinder because you burned your concrete.
Correct,
you had to match it all.
Yeah,
so you had to pull all the cars out. You had to regrind all the concrete.
I had to fix it, right?
Yeah. Jeez.
So not really, but so 9 o'clock at night, I'm already 2 flushes in. The second flush, I am still coming out with brown, murky gunk out of my radiator.
And you want to get it clean.
that sentence was a real roller coaster for a second there.
Yeah. You want to get it clear.
So well, you're wanting to get it as clear as possible. So I filled up with more distilled water. I said I'll tackle it the next day, right?
Yeah.
I did not know that it was going to turn into another day-long project, right? Of turning the bike on, turning the bike off, changing out. I did basically 6 flushes total, and I went from having green to orangish to like brownish to light brownish to like light orangish to like almost clear, right?
And this is on a bike radiator. It's not even that big.
No, it's not, Dane.
Hold like a gallon?
It is not. It holds a little over half a gallon. Yeah. And so if you can even believe how much gunk must have built up in the outside there. So finally got it all flushed out, put in the engine ice. I put a fresh new batch of oil in there. So basically started it up, and the thing's running smooth, running like a freaking dream. So I was pretty pumped about that. But my problem, though, is that, you know how I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to detailing? Mm-hmm. I'm the same way when it comes to working on my own stuff, right? Because I'm crazy. Yeah. Like, let's just say I tighten a bolt down, right? I'll tighten a bolt down on a fairing or whatever I'm doing, and I'll walk away, and I'll say, that bolt went on there a little tight. Like, kind of like maybe it went in there crooked. I should go back and check that, right? So I'll go back and I'll unscrew it, and screw it back in. I say, oh no, that one was just a little tight like that. And then I'll match up another bolt and I'll say, oh, that seems like a little off. Or was there a piece of sand inside that as I was tightening that down? Should I back that out again?
You follow literally every bolt you put in up with like a torque wrench to get the exact right measure.
No,
on each
I'm
one.
just super weird about that kind of stuff, especially on a motorcycle, because I'm like I could die on this, you know.
You want to be sure.
But it's just I'm very weird about working on stuff. So something like that probably would only take somebody maybe a couple hours to do, right? But because I'm so, like, I don't know, crazy about that stuff, it just takes me forever. But I enjoy it. It's a fun process. So,
as long as you like doing it, that's the important part.
But that was pretty much it, man. I did that. I didn't do anything to the Civic. I didn't do any washing or anything like that. I did wash. Actually, one thing I will touch on detailing-wise is I did wash the bike after I was done, because every time I undid that radiator hose, I had distilled vinegar as well as murky crap going all over the side of my black bike, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I ended up doing was cleaning up the whole underside of the bike as well. One thing I want to talk about is the difference between sludge on a motorcycle and then grime on a car, right? They're
totally different.
Two different types of things.
You're basically cleaning an engine bay.
Yes, you are basically cleaning an engine bay. And so a lot of people, like for example, who asked the other day on how to clean a chain? It was who asked that? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember who.
Somebody asked how to clean a chain. And so cleaning a chain on a motorcycle, right, you need to use a specific chain degreaser, right? So I like to use the DuPont stuff is really good. It's O-ring safe and it's X-ring safe. And so you'll spray that down. It is a degreaser and it's really powerful. You'll literally watch the stuff melt off. Now the plus side is that it's you don't have to rinse it. It's just a spray on and you can leave it on if you want.
Dissolves it.
But that stuff can also be used. You can spray some engine parts with it. You can spray painted parts with it if you really need to. Just make sure to clean it up afterwards. But there is few dedicated automotive degreasers or cleaners that will remove sludge that you would get on the bottom of a motorcycle like something like that would. Like Power Clean Straight. It'll start eating at it, but it won't break it down immediately.
Right.
Whereas
it's a different kind of grease oil.
It's oil, but it's mixed with just.
Well, you've also got lubricants in there, so you've got dry, waxy lubricants, like your different chain lubes and things.
Yeah, so you have
Teflons and it's a lot of stuff.
Oil is different in motorcycles, right? Because there's a lot more friction modifiers and there's things like that, right? That help with wet clutches and things like that. And so you're getting a kind of a different style of oil in there. And what happens is, when it heats up and cools down, it heats up and cools down and it builds up, right? It'll also collect sand and rocks and debris and things that will just kind of clump together. So you really have to, you have to break it down with, like I said, using some type of dedicated degreaser, spray it on, clean it off. And most people aren't that picky about detailing a motorcycle. But if you're doing this as a job and somebody checks underneath the bike to make sure everything's gone, that's one of the first things they're going to check is, checking the bottom, make sure it's all nice and clean if you're paying a lot of money for it. So, that would just be my recommendation. If you're ever getting, deep into motorcycle detailing, you're dealing with some really grimy crap, just skip straight to an actual chain O-ring degreaser and spray those areas and then immediately wipe and rinse or whatever you need to do rather than sit there and spray every all-purpose cleaner under the sun at it because you're just going to be spending way too long doing that. And
words to the wise.
So, I don't know. Just throwing that out there because of experience.
Yeah. So, Anthony, we're still working on a motorcycle certification exam for the IDA. Yeah. If you'd like to head up that, I would appreciate that. Would be very, very well received.
Yeah.
You can volunteer.
I wonder if there's anybody.
So, my weekend, I got to spend some time in the MOSHQ.
Ooh, wow. Very nice.
With the great Ivan LaCroix.
Wow. Oh, wonderful.
Made a guest appearance Sunday morning, showed up at my house about 10 o'clock, and worked on a truck for me, with me.
For you?
Yeah, he worked on half of it. I worked on half of it. Thankfully, the truck was pretty clean already.
Oh.
Didn't need a lot. Just need a quick spruce and polish. It's going to the Roadster Show this weekend. So, we wanted to make it glossy and shiny, and that's what we did. But Saturday morning was the Home Depot Kids Workshop.
Oh, yeah.
My kids love to attend it.
One of their favorites.
One of their favorite things to do. They look forward to it every month. When I went to register for them Friday night, it wasn't available.
Oh.
Huh. Maybe it was sold out, perhaps.
I thought that. So then I called.
Yeah.
Called Home Depot. They had canceled it
What?
due to the coronavirus.
Wow.
Now, mind you, their reasoning was, well, we don't want to get all those kids together in the same location. They've all been at school with other kids for an entire week.
They literally pick each other's noses at school.
Yeah.
You did that?
Well, Anthony only those friends that were really close.
Yeah,
So he would do that
I'd let
for
him
him.
pick my nose. Yeah.
But
The friends who pick
so
together stick together.
It just didn't make sense, right? So then they said, sorry, we canceled it because of this. I said, are you handing out the kits?
Yeah.
At least I can swing by and grab one or something for the kids
Yeah.
or two of them. And they said, nope. And I said, so then my wife made a post about it on her mommy meme jeans. And a bunch of people wrote back and said, not true. They're handing them out. Call and ask for a manager. So I called. And sure enough, they had them. They're like, yep, come on by. Come grab them. Not a problem. Just swing by. Tell us. We'll give them to you. So my mom, my sweet mom, drove over there and picked them up for my kids and then dropped them off. So the kids
Very
still got their
nice.
pins. They still got their binoculars that they got to build. It was a binocular setup this week, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, so they got to at least still have their normal Saturday thing that they wanted to do.
No,
so
that's
we
very
did that
nice.
Saturday night. But then Sunday, Ivan and I worked on the truck, got it all polished up, looking sharp. Got to played with some new products.
What kind of truck was it?
It's a Les Schwab service truck.
Oh, so it's actually like a service truck. Okay.
Yeah, but this is the last year that this is kind of the clean service truck. It's actually going to be, it's going to get a service bed put on it.
Okay.
One of the big beds.
Yeah.
Right now it's just got a lift gate and an air compressor and lights and stuff on it. So it can do field repair and it can do tire runs, but it's not a full-on
Gotcha.
equipment service truck. So it's gonna. But what Wayne likes to do with it is he has a spot at the Boise Roadster Show, right across from usually a Grade 8 or Riddler contender.
Yeah.
And so he likes his work truck to look as glossy and shiny for the Roadster Show
No small feat.
as a Riddler contender. So that when people are walking by, this truck looks like it's just immaculate. And so he keeps it very nice, keeps it in good shape, keeps it washed. Ivan and I were washing it, and he was laughing because he's like, what did you put on this? And I said, honestly, I can't remember. But it was beating beautifully, and water was sheeting off of it. It was awesome.
Wow.
So Ivan's like, well, we should just do this and call it good. And I go, no, we're going to polish it. We got to do that. So, because he'd run it through the car wash a couple times. So it had a few scratches on it that we buffed out and took care of. But all in all, it was great. The kids got to have a lunch date with Ivan.
Wow.
Where they sat and ate lunch at the counter, and Ivan sat with them and talked, and the kids were showing him all kinds of stuff. It was funny to watch Hadley and Augie, bring things over and show Ivan, like, did you see this? And this is how this works. And
It's weird. So Augie was pretty open to talking to him.
they are. Let me just say, my kids love Ivan LaCroix.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, they don't seem to
they,
like the rest of
Yeah,
us.
I was gonna say.
They were very excited to have them in the home and talking, telling them stuff. Augie was bummed when Ivan left about noon because he headed back to do stuff with Sylvie before they had to get ready to head out this morning. And so, but Augie was bummed. He came out wearing a cardboard box on his head and wanted to show Ivan that he had a box on his head.
Aww.
So
Perfect.
he's like, where'd he go? It's like, he left. But anyway, we did that. Then Sunday, I just took the kids out. We went and ran some errands and just kind of hung out. My wife got sick this weekend.
Yeah.
So Carly fought a cold all weekend. She basically stayed in bed Saturday and Sunday.
Katie as well. Same
You,
thing.
you sure it was a cold?
Hit her hard.
Yeah.
So she started her new job. She's a duty at the elementary school.
Ooh.
I loved
so-
the duties.
See, what I'm getting at is, you take the test for Corona yet. I mean, going
anyway,
around. COVID.
So I'm gonna cough into Dane's drinks tonight just
Great.
for fun. Yeah. So, but anyway, so she took the day off.
Honestly, unless you have a compromised immune system.
she felt bad because she just started her
It's not.
new gig 3
Yeah.
days ago. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and now she had to take the day off because she's sick,
Yeah.
and she was she was shaking and had the fever. It was bad last night. So I hope she gets better. But other than that, it was a pretty simple, easy, very short weekend.
Yeah.
I think because we had the training, that
everything just kind of happened fast.
And this week we have us here for the week. That's it. We don't have any visitors this week.
Right.
Next week, Dylan Von Kleist is going to be hanging out with us.
Mr. DVK.
He flies in on Wednesday.
Yeah.
He will be here
What a guy.
to hang out with us and party, which would be great. Always a good time to have the DVK here.
Absolutely.
And then he'll head out on Saturday. I think Saturday morning he flies out next Saturday. And then we'll have Iban from IK Sprayers coming to hang out with us for a few days.
Yeah.
Which will be awesome. So it never ceases to be a cavalcade of stars here at the Rag Company dropping in.
It's true.
Yeah.
And we're hoping soon we'll have that media center done so that we can invite them there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's
Have 'em
getting
come
close.
through.
Getting
Yeah.
close. So
It's really close. We got carpet. We got some really cool wall materials going up.
Yeah. Got some
It's
swings
awesome.
hanging in the back.
yeah,
It's,
No,
it's gonna be fun.
definitely
Hang
not
from those
that.
trusses.
Yeah. You can obviously hang from them. I mean, they're strong enough.
They're actually hanging. So.
Yeah, they are hanging trusses. So
Well, I think the one thing that we shot a lot of videos this week, and one of them I know Anthony is extremely excited about. He doesn't want me to talk about it. I won't talk about it. But other than to say, this will probably be one of those videos that people share with their friends, and they either whine and complain and say something wasn't done right, and therefore the whole thing's invalidated, which not fair, because we actually did everything we could to make sure it was like a level playing field across the board as much as possible. But this is going to be a very interesting comparison that I know a lot of folks who are into making things shiny would be interested in.
that video will come out. So as soon as that gets edited, and I'm really pumped to promote that and share that. Now, one thing I did find out this weekend from little detailing is that so I pulled off my belly pan off my Triumph, and it's black, right? It's like metallic black, and it's hammered because it gets hit with every single stone and rock and everything that hits that thing. There's just not much you can do about it. So what I wanted to experiment with is how soon can you apply Dr. Color Chip, right? And then polish on it, right? And specifically on sand rash, right? So, because basically the bike has what I would deem as sand rash, meaning that there is so many imperfections in the paint, right, that it has basically made a completely new texture, right? After claying it, polishing it, wiping it down with an IPA mix, I noticed that, so I'm missing paint in a lot of areas, and it is just so dented and dinged that, what do you do? So I had, it was a pretty close match. It was actually a metallic black from an Audi of a Dr. Color Chip paint sample that I ordered. This was years ago. I've had it for years, and I've done all my touch-up on the bike with that specific paint. The metallic is slightly different. So the metallic inside the Triumph is a little bit more of has a little bit more of an orange-red flake in it, whereas this one has a little bit more of a green-blue flake in it.
Okay.
Slightly different, but the idea was to apply the Dr. Color Chip like I would to fix how I would fix sand rash, right? And so they have squeegee kits for this, but the other way you can do it is with a little neoprene glove and just your thumb. So on the areas of sand rash, I do a couple of droplets onto that area. Taking the side of my thumb or the side of my finger, I am now working the product into the sand rash. And I'm leveling it. Now the cool part, Dr. Color Chip, is that there is something inside that paint, because it is a different style of paint. I can't remember the exact chemical makeup, but it is different to where you can remove it with the solvent, which is happens to be sealant as well, which is called their Seal Act solution. But it also has some self-leveling ability on its own, right? So you kind of get to reduce the chance of paint blobs, not just because of the paint, but also because of the solvent that comes with it.
Yeah.
So spreading it in with my thumb, right, into all that sand rash, right, immediately started to level itself and fill in all that sand rash, which is amazing because it's so textured, right? You're thinking, is it going to fill it all in? Is it just going to create more of a mess? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
So after doing that, I noticed, it was really level. It looked really good, kind of similar to like how CCR would look if you were to wipe it in and level it on and have it level out. I eventually took the sealant, or the solvent, and started wiping that with the little cheesecloth that it comes with and removing a lot of the excess material that was there. what I was left with was kind of a spotty mix of paint, right? But there was no chips. There was no, visually, there was no white spots. There was no nothing that had gone all the way through the actual plastic. So I let it sit in front of my little garage heater for about 20, 30 minutes. And I said, well, I'm going to attempt to polish it as it is now and see what kind of result I can get. So I grabbed my hybrid. By the way, polishing something that's polishing like a loose floppy something is not ideal, right? With one hand, because you're holding it.
You want to get a hold of that.
Well,
and that's why you really shouldn't try polishing fish.
Well, so I'm holding this thing and it is just literally squirming, right? And so I'm holding my other hand. I'm trying to polish this thing out.
I gotta.
Because I'm trying to get the color even, right? So basically, I start polishing it out, right? And I'm kind of wiping away some of the old color chip as I'm doing it. And I'm noticing it's blending super well. I mean, like blending so ridiculously well that I'm sitting here like, holy crap, this is amazing, right? Like I don't think Dr. Color Chip themselves have experimented enough with applying the filler, right, especially on sand rash, and then polishing it afterwards, right? Because Dr. Color Chip gets hard enough to where you can absolutely wet sand it or you can dry sand it, but just while it's still kind of in that point of manipulation where it's not too hard, it's not too soft, you can polish it down with something like a yellow pad on a little hybrid or a yellow pad on a larger polisher. And so after mowing down the existing stuff and taking a look at it, I was left with, I'm not just making this up, an actual reflection inside that area that had sand rash.
Wow.
Right? So imagine if you had an area with sand rash that you had no reflection even after polishing, right? And then filling that in, then repolishing that area and actually having it to where you can see your finger in the reflection of something.
That's honestly impressive.
Now, I know that sounds really, this is probably just, people don't care about this crap, but like I was amazed that you can have that level of fix in a short amount of time with a product like that and a couple of tools.
Yeah.
And rather than doing a complete respray for one 4x4 section that just had massive sand rash. So, yeah, just some information. It's kind of nerdy, but I thought I'd share it.
It's great.
So you can absolutely fill Dr. Color Chip in to sand rash or chips. Throw a heater on it for just a little bit, and you can polish it shortly after, and you're not going to remove anything. Now, I will say that depending on what I was using, an isopropyl alcohol mix of it was a 70% mix, which I diluted with 50-50 water, so roughly 35% isopropyl alcohol and distilled water mix. Was not enough to remove any of that paint, which was good. Now, if you were using something like G-Technic panel wipe or like Car Pro Eraser or something like that,
you wipe it off.
You might wipe off that paint. So just keep that in mind. If you are fixing sand rash or fixing a chip, you want to be very cognizant on what your paint prep is and what you're using to either clean or not disinfect, but clean that surface and prep it. So I'd probably just go with something safe like a diluted alcohol rather than some potent stuff.
Oh, that's fair.
Is that boring? I know we're talking about all this fun stuff, and then I start talking about this.
No, I did a small chip sand job.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But what happened was so my buddy Wayne, he stopped by on Sunday while we were working on the service truck to bring his white Tundra that I'm going to work on later this month. But
how many cars does Wayne have?
More than you know.
Yeah, he's got a lot, man.
But he was doing landscaping this weekend on his new house. He was building a rock wall. Right?
Amazing, yeah.
So he's backing his trailer up through his fence, and he was unloading the bricks, and then he looked and he was like, I should probably put a rock in front of the fence there. And then as soon as he said that, the wind caught it, and the fence hit the side of his truck.
Oh.
And it was right where the handle was, like the latch,
Yeah.
and it smacked his fender. And it just made a little scratch and chip where it moved. So he brought it over. He's like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe I did this. Like, I'm so pissed. So I hit it with knocked down a little 3000 grit. And then Ivan walked over with a wool pad and some compound and just buffed out that section. We hit it with a little bit of polish and called it good. But I couldn't. It was so deep. Even though the mark was, I mean, we're talking a tiny, tiny little scratch. But it had chipped so deep that it was already into the primer coat.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I was like, we should probably get you some Dr. Color chip just to have on hand in that white. You should probably buy one just to have it. I was like, honestly, Wayne, if you went through and picked out some Dr. Color chip for all of your vehicles, because you can just send them your paint code.
Yeah, you can just do it all on the website.
Do it all on the website. I was like, get a little kit for each vehicle.
Yeah.
And, dude, well, I'll knock it into each one. And he was like, oh, my gosh, I didn't even think about it. I was like, but we could hit this. There's a chip right here on the B-pillar. There's one on the mirror. There's, he got the front end is PPF'd. But, like Ivan said, where it's going to get that rock chip is where it's not PPF'd on an edge. Is where it's going to hit. So, you should always. It might be something worth, it's cheap insurance to get. And it's, you put in your order, you get one the color of your vehicle. And it's easy to install. We've got our video on us doing it on Dane's Volvo, where you put it on and you can show how to do it. And
there were some big chips on there too.
Yeah,
it's simple and effective.
I've gotten pretty fast with it now. So it used to take me. I used to sit there, and it used to be like a multiple beer job where I'd sit there and wait.
Now you can't eat. You don't even drink your whole. You don't even have like 2 sips in. And you're done.
I'm like, man, this is too fast. But I would say that for anybody. I mean, if you are even weird about rock, I'm super weird about rock chips, so I have a color for every one of my vehicles. But those little half-ounce bottles of paint, they say that they only have like a shelf life of like a year, maybe a little more than that. Dude, I've gotten like 4 or 5 years out of my little samples that I have. You'll get a lot of time out of those before they actually start to harden up, to store them in a nice, cool, dry place, and you can make sure the cap stays closed. But they last forever. I think you can get into like a kit for $39, get you the actual paint and the solvent, and then maybe a couple little brushes. But I'd say order your color and then go down to your local hobby store and get the smallest little touch-up brushes that you can. I think they're yellow in colors.
Yeah, they look like little dental toothpicks.
Little picks. And buy packs of those. Buy like 3 or 4 packs of those just so you have them on hand. And you can pretty much touch up anything. Like the gloss black I used to touch up some of my spots on my wheel on my Speed Triple. Got that all nice and looking good again. I have a pretty basic white for my Grom, believe it or not. And then I have red for the Civic. And then I have gray for my car. Now they have the big old installer kits that are a mixture of you can mix your own color, right? Basically is what it is. I'm pretty much colorblind when it comes to mixing colors. Like when I see Lars and Ram mix their color lock stuff, I'm like, yep, I don't know how to do that, right? So for the people that are really good at seeing that stuff, go for it. Other than that, just order the pre-made kits. I know Dane's going to need one for his Jag, right? And obviously Levi's going to need one for that blue.
The Elantra?
No.
The Elantra's silver.
No, I meant the Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm fixing this wrap chip here. You're like, Levi, it doesn't work like that. You like peel the wrap away. You have all these little blue dots.
No, he gets little pieces of vinyl and it's just like, that'll work.
Yeah. Just cut off.
you just cut it in a little circle.
There's more stickers on the front end of this thing.
It's like the leftovers after you punch holes in paper and you're just sitting there with
I'm just
vinyl
sitting there like punching them out of vinyl. And
hold on, I got to use slip solution.
Morgan, don't you need to order a kit?
I actually do. But the question is, I don't think that I can do that. So, I mean, if anyone's thinking about doing a Dr. Color chip video, like, I'm going to take my turn at using you guys. Because Dane's been doing it, so I think it's my turn.
Oh, no, we'd
saying?
be totally happy to work on it.
So you would want us to work on your car?
Well, I would be learning, right?
Oh, okay.
But it would be a...
Morgan learns paint chip repair. I see that being a good one.
I see that being a great one.
I could clap her in.
Yeah.
You could clap me in.
See you guys.
See ya.
Cool. And I think it actually...
Who wants to see that?
I think it'd be more satisfying seeing it on her car than the red Volvo. Yeah. No offense, Dane. It's just that... It's
well,
the
so
red
what
Volvo
I want to know, because obviously, like, I've always thought about this, right? Like, the metallic is what is the hard part to recreate, right? Because, like, matching the color is one thing, but matching, like, the distribution of the flake is what I've always been told is what is noticeable.
Yeah, on larger swatches.
Yeah, but if you're just doing little
bigger
chips,
panels, on chips, it's not as noticeable. What is noticeable is the color variant. So when I drive the Elantra, I had 2 guys that used to do paint chip repair for my shop.
Yeah.
One would do that Dr. Color chip method. I really like that style better. The other one would do the old school. He would mix a color, and he would get the paint code, and he would mix the paint, and then he would go and do just the dab.
Yeah.
And he would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but the color he used on my silver, he used a color similar to your BMW.
Yeah.
Sounds
Even though he
Right.
mixed it up, so I had a very light silver with a very dark charcoal gray paint touch up. So
Yeah.
as you go around the vehicle, you're like, wow, that does now it's more noticeable than if I didn't have chips.
Right.
So
Right, yeah.
so with metallics, that's where I don't know if he got the wrong code or if he put in the wrong year, because there were two different grays
Yeah.
from that or silvers in that time period. So he could have easily have just gotten the year wrong of the vehicle
Yeah.
and just assumed like, oh, yep, Hyundai Elantra, it's this paint code. Well,
Yeah.
they had 2 to 3 different charcoal, like different silvery grays.
Yeah.
To the point that we had a 2006 in that silver. My sister-in-law had a 2008 in another color, and my mother-in-law had a 2008 in another color. All three were 3 different shades of gray.
Yeah.
But they were all Elantras.
Yeah.
And
So very confusing, especially
very
with
simple.
like large production vehicles, because
Right.
there's a ton of different grays, you know, blacks.
So with metallics, that's the key to kind of worry about, is watching in that, and it's with any color, but it was far more noticeable when he did it. And he's like, all right, man, what do you think? And I was like, looks great. He did it for free. So I gave him, tipped him out, gave him money for it,
Yeah.
and just said, thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. But I was like, this doesn't match at
Yeah.
all. And it looks way worse than it is. So like I wiped it off on some spots. Other spots I had some rust.
Yeah.
Just chipped exposed metal. So I just left it
Yeah.
and said, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. But
Yeah.
I've replaced the whole front end on the Elantra,
Yeah.
the bumpers and the bumper and the hood. So most of that's gone,
Yeah.
that touch up. So what's left is what's on the sides and just little dings and things that he touched up.
Not so
But
bad.
It's not as bad as it used to be. But it for a while, it was pretty surprising when you looked at it. And a lot of people didn't realize that. So
Right.
anyway.
I dig it.
All right.
All right, Dane, take it
I
away.
think we're going to wrap this up. So, guys, gals, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, I always say this, but I got to check in because there's always new people. Make sure you're subscribed to the Rag Company podcast on YouTube as well as the Rag Company on YouTube. 2 different channels, 2 different types of fun there. So make sure you're subscribed to both. And lastly, before we go, I just want to say, please, leave us a review, a rating on whatever platform you're listening to us on. It
Yeah.
always helps us out if you can leave reviews, even if it's just a simple, 5-word comment,
ask
anything.
Dane where his
Yeah.
bottle room is.
You can
Yeah.
just write something in there, leave a star
don't know
rating,
where he
whatever it is
stored
on your
all those
platform, and that helps get us out in front of more people, because what it shows is that people are interacting with the show, and that makes a difference. So
It does.
please do that. If you find yourself with a spare 5, 30 seconds, whatever, just do it, and we really appreciate it. So
Awesome, Dane.
that said, let's get out of here. See you
All
guys.
right. See you guys.
Bye.
See ya.